the TV show, Top Chef. He was forced to lay off about 425 people from his Crafted Hospitality restaurant group. And look, Tom, you obviously are in the middle of this, and you heard that food service company in Phil's piece say, look, the small business loan program is just not working for restaurants. You've got to use 3/4 of the loan for payroll, not rent. I mean, what problems do you see with this?
Well, the big problem is that restaurants aren't open. And so, I can bring my staff back now. I can pay them for the 2 months, and I'm probably not going to be open for the 2 months, and I'm probably not going to be open, and so I'll just have to lay them back off again. That's if they actually come back to work. And so what we really need to do is move this date of origin from when we got the loan to somewhere in the future. I spoke to Senator Schumer today, and he has a plan that will move it to December 31st. And so that's helpful. The Bennett Young plan is also helpful because they're trying to address the inadequacies of PPP. The thing with PPP, if you're a business that maybe you're 20% depressed and maybe you laid off a few workers, this is great because you can hire those few workers back. Now your entire payroll is taken care of, and you're only 20% depressed. That doesn't work for restaurants that aren't open.
Right. You have no revenue, and also, of course, you've got all these small restaurants, rent, everything else
Sure.
that you're dealing with. So you are part of a trade group, I know, Tom, that's been advocating on behalf of restaurants. You mentioned what you're talking about with Senator Schumer, but what would you do right now to help restaurants? Is there something specific and very clear that could be done right now?
Sure. So I'm a co-founder of the Independent Restaurant Coalition, and what we're advocating for is a restaurant stabilization package. We're asking for $120 billion that will help stabilize the restaurants, not only to get them open, but actually to give them some runway to stay open. Because what I'm really concerned about is getting open is half the problem. Staying open past 2 or 3 months, because we're looking, number one, if we open up, we have to practice social distancing in the restaurant. We have waiters and bartenders with masks on. We're going to have to take out half our seats. So perhaps we'll do 20 to 30% of our business. That doesn't work for us. We're going to lose money. And so opening up just to lose money doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so we're going to need some runway here.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of restaurants I know, they're not even going to be able to pay the rent with the amount of money they'd be getting in, and never mind the payroll. I mean, we just showed a moment ago, I want to show it again, Tom, an Ohio restaurant, Twisted Citrus is its name, they reopened, hanging up clear shower curtains between the tables, and of course you've got social distancing. I mean, what's it going to be like in a restaurant? I mean, there's the financial part that you point out. You can't just open a restaurant and it won't work. The math won't work. But then there's the reason people go to a restaurant. A person like you creates a restaurant to begin with, which is the ambiance, the noise, the togetherness without necessarily being together. That's the point. What's it going to be like in a restaurant?
Right. Well, you're going to have waiters wearing masks, bartenders wearing masks, patrons wearing masks. They'll have the smell disinfected in the air because every time someone touches their door handle, you're going to come back behind them and clean it up. You'll have paper napkins and paper plates, maybe plastic knives and forks, shower curtains around the tables. You know what? If perhaps we open up and there may be a sense of solidarity, we want to help these restaurants, that's going to wane very, very quickly when people realize just how ridiculous it is to try to eat a public space that is just not conducive to dining. And so, I just don't see us getting past that 20 or 30% mark, unless we have a vaccine, and we're far off from that. And so, listen, this is a hope and a prayer. And it's one thing for the president to say, hey, let's start opening up businesses. It's another thing because it's not when we can open the business, it's when the customers feel comfortable coming into that restaurant and so they can be together. This doesn't make sense to me, and I think that in the long run, you'll see more restaurants just close if they open up, and then they're going to close for good, and then those employees will be gone for good. And we're talking about the independent restaurants. We employ 11 million people. And if you think about the supply chain, all the farmers and fishermen and cheesemakers and winemakers, we're talking about 20 million people. So we have a ways to go. We need help.
Wow. All right. Tom, thank you very much.